Smash that limiter!
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
How are you? It has been a crazy week, has it not, Spliffy?
Absolutely.
On Wednesday, when we normally do our podcast for during the week, our entire country's one of the major telecom providers decided to show that they've been lacking in their money. In
Is that one of
their
the...
redundancies, I should say.
So, like, what they just didn't have any backups when the system went down?
Something went wrong and it knocked out everything. And they had no redundancies in place because they've been cutting corners this entire time.
Well, I'll teach them.
I know, right? So, yeah. They seriously fucked up. And yeah, that's basically what happened.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine in the end. No one's dead, so it's all good.
No, but they decided to compensate us by giving a measly 1 gig free data.
Oh, they're upping my monthly bill by $5.
Are they really?
Yeah, literally. I think the next day or the day after that, they said, "Hey, like, we're gonna increase it by $5 a month."
Serious?
Yeah.
That is so dodgy.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny.
Wow, that is not great at all.
Oh well, it's like I said, no one's dead, so we'll go with the flow for this one.
Yeah. Problem is like they do this sort of shit all the time to us, and it's like we lose in the end. We lose always in the end when it comes to this stuff because no one.
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, depends on what your definition is. Lose, because like lose internet for a day.
Yeah, but it's not just lose internet for the day though. It's like they're charging us a premium price and it could potentially fuck us over. And losing internet for a day is bad, dude. Everything's hooked to the internet. I couldn't get fuel. My fuel light came on and I was fucking freaking out because I was like, how the hell am I going to get fuel when I can't transfer money into my bank? Like, it really fucks us. So, yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair enough. I don't really have a rebuttal for that.
No, it's stupid. We pay them ridiculous amount of money and they can't even fucking be reliable. It's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, but you have such a pessimistic mindset.
No, because I hate corporations and fuck them, that's why.
On a more positive note, what did you think of Five Nights at Freddy's? So we all went and watched Five Nights at Freddy's yesterday.
You did.
What do you think?
Okay, so I enjoyed some aspects of the story, and I liked that they kind of made a little like creative spin-off on it. I kind of liked that. That was kind of nice. I thought though that the auntie thing. Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers.
No, let's not spoil it.
No. I'm not going to give you the full story, but I'm going to say spoilers in the sense there's an auntie involved. That's as much as a spoiler is going to be. That whole auntie thing shouldn't have been there. That was kind of a waste of time. But everything else kind of was interesting. I did find it really boring. And the only reason I found it boring is...
because it went blood and guts everywhere and people having everything taken out of them.
Yeah, it was tailored for teenagers when I believe it should have been tailored for those that grew up with it. Not kids these days, because kids these days don't know what's a good thing if it hit them.
You, you kids get better get off my Five Nights at Freddy's lawn.
Yeah. So I think that if it was rated MA or rated R and it was like a little bit more gory, a little bit more like the scary moments were actually like scary, it would have been good. I agree with Ray that the I wanted to see more of Chica do something. But other than that, like I wouldn't watch it again, me per se, because I've never been like a massive Five Nights at Freddy's fan. But it wasn't a bad movie by any means. Like out of a computer game adaptation, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. They were honest. They kept to the storyline. They kept to the fan lore and all that sort of the fans, like by keeping the lore like true and didn't do their own crazy over the top changes. The animatronics alone were pretty impressive. The fact that they made them real, which is cool. Yeah. What about you? You give me your spin.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It was probably my favorite movie this year.
Really? You loved it
yeah.
much? That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I was paying attention to all the little details, watching all the little references.
Yeah.
For example, like when in the first scene he wakes up and it's 6 a.m. I'm thinking, oh, that's great. I love it.
Yeah. I did notice that stuff as well myself.
And the Celebrate poster and the fan. I'm genuinely impressed that they put the fan on the in the office space.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I think it was all just great. It was all really satisfying. And I really hope they make a second one because I think I would actually go watch that one as well. I'm gonna keep my eye out for the DVD so I can pick it up. Excuse me. There was one other thing I wanted to make mention of, but I can't. It slipped my mind.
Yeah.
But I honestly think it was like an appropriate amount of gore and appropriate amount of horror because like I don't think it was like meant to, I don't think it would have done well if it was like a horror, maybe. I don't know. I just think there was a good amount of it was necessary amount of gore and horror in it. If it was any more, it might be a bit distasteful.
So you don't like Saw movies or anything like that, do you?
Well, I haven't. The only ones I've really watched is I think Saw 3. Like there was a Saw movie where they all had to cooperate, but they didn't realize they had to cooperate until the end of the movie. I don't remember which one that one was. And I think Saw 4. And it's an interesting. The Saw movies are like an interesting take on psychopathy.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with, obviously, but I've never really gone out of my way to watch them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. See, I like that sort of stuff. I like horrors and thrillers and gore.
But like,
yeah.
Yep. But yeah, the other thing too. Oh, that's the one. I remember now. That came back into my mind. So at the end of the movie, they play the Five Nights at Freddy's song by the Living Tombstone, and that was like one of my favorite touches. Because after I think it was Five Nights at Freddy's, led me down the Living Tombstone route, and then I fucking loved Living Tombstone's music.
Yeah.
But that was the last thing I wanted to mention about that was the one thing I wanted to mention that slipped my mind.
I did like the playlist music that they did play, except for the song that they played during showtime. That song in particular, I mean, it suited the era because it was 80s, but I think it would have been more better if it was actually Five Nights at Freddy's theme song that they actually play when it plays. I think that would have been kind of fun.
Oh, which one?
You know when the animatronics are sitting there jamming.
Yeah. I don't remember which. I don't remember the song.
They played an '80s song, which is good. Like, it wasn't bad, or this is a little nitpicking. Like, it doesn't matter to me that much. But it would have been nice if it was like the actual theme song that they played.
No, I think that would have been really weird and disconcerting because it's like we're gonna yeah, absolutely, because like you open up a pizzeria in the '80s and we're gonna add music. We're gonna make them animatronics sing music that's gonna be produced 30 years from now.
Yeah, but it's music that it's their theme song. It's Freddy Fazbear's theme song, which is what all those '80s fucking animatronic pizzerias and that have those actually animatronics on stage that sing. They have their own theme song that they play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, it's a little bit of a nitpicky. It's nothing like urgent. Like, the song was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, I think. But yeah, I just think it would have been interesting to have like something like that they played, because I don't know, the song they chose to me felt a little bit out of place. But other than that, like, it was no dramas.
I need to look up what song.
I can't remember the name.
Played. Yeah. I need to know this now. Played in Five Nights at Freddy's Showtime scene. I don't actually know. Oh, it's all right. Well, I genuinely don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'll have to look it up later and have a think about it. But I think they added all the references in really subtly, and I actually really appreciate it, because there's nothing worse than when you have like a fan loved adaptation, and then all the fucking just by the way, you need to appreciate this movie because it's Five Nights at Freddy's, and they just throw shit in your face.
Yeah.
But this one was done really subtly, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But that's my thing, I guess.
Yeah. And that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, you enjoyed it, obviously, so it wins.
I absolutely loved it.
Me and Ray were both in the same boat. Like, we didn't hate it by any means, but we were a little bit bored because we wanted to see a little bit more fucking death and destruction.
Oh my god. But if you want to go watch Death and Destruction, go watch like a movie based on Death and Destruction. If you want to see a film that people have been waiting 10 years to come out, go watch Five Nights at Freddy's.
The game is literally Death and Destruction, though.
No, it's... Well...
It is, yeah. It's like you have to survive 5 Nights at Freddy's as a security guard. And
no, there's more to it than just that. There's the background lore. Like, that's, I mean, like, kids get murdered and stuff to the animatronics, but, but, I mean, they turn into spirits. That's kind of like a semi-life.
Yeah.
The animatronics come to life, too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what kind of... I want to pick at your brain now. What kind of death and destruction would you want to see? Like, the military runs in there and then they all get massacred by getting eaten by Freddy.
For example, that one scene where a whole heap of people... really wrong place, wrong time, and wrong fucking decision on their part.
Right.
I wanted to see a little bit more, like, how dangerous these things really are. Because it's like, something happens, then it cuts to the next scene and you don't actually see what happens. You hear the screams, but you don't see what happens. I want to see what happens. I want to see them get butchered.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that you would have been dissatisfied with that. I reckon, because, like, have you ever heard the phrase, it's seeing the ghost is less scary than not seeing the ghost.
Yeah, but we see the ghosts all the time in this scenario, so why not see them actually? Because we see, like, for example, there's bits of blood splatter here and there. Like, this is what I mean. It's very... Jurassic Park is more violent than this.
Yeah, but they're dinosaurs.
These are
animatronics. Yeah, animatronics are designed to entertain, and dinosaurs are literally designed to eat and maul and kill other things.
These animatronics aren't nearly actually designed to entertain. Part of the lore.
Yeah,
anyway. They are not designed to entertain. They're designed.
I mean, Freddy Fazbear is a really bad-looking Velociraptor if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, but he can still rip your limb off.
So does he doesn't have to?
He does though.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he does.
But does he rip someone's arm off?
Actually, no, he didn't. It was the bunny.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
did he rip the arm off?
That's the thing. You didn't see it, but you know it happened because the body's in one location and the arm's in the other.
I must have completely overlooked that part.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Yeah, it's alright. But like I said, it was not a bad movie. Like, out of all game adaptations, it wasn't that bad. But it's still really, really sad to me, though, that they still haven't made a successful Halo movie. Forward on the Dawn is probably the only extent of a successful Halo movie.
That's the only successful one.
But it was a movie that came out that they didn't really make money on.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is that Halo... I don't know if anyone really knows how to develop a Halo movie because of how complicated something like that would be. So you have to, find a costume designer.
They should just make it fucking CGI animated.
That's the other thing too. Is that do you want to just make it CGI or do you just want to make it animated? And if you want to make it animated, it's like $10,000 per minute worth of animation. So which one's the most cost effective to do? Actually, ironically enough, it probably would be to animate it.
It would be, yeah.
Funnily enough,
because the animation, right? So animation's pretty big at the moment. I've just started watching Spider-Man, the multiverse one. And I'm 50 minutes into it. I'm really enjoying it. Like I stopped start obviously because I fell asleep last night. But it's good. It's really, really good. And there's a few other animation movies that I watched that are really good. And all the DC movies are good, and some of the Marvel movies are good in animated form. So I really like animations because you can make a character do things that aren't really realistic. For example, a Spartan throw a warthog or throw a ghost. You can't really do that in real life without CGI, and then they can really fuck up the CGI. So I think animated Halo would be better. They did try doing the whole TV series, but the problem with that TV series is they had incompetent idiots that think that they know what their audience wants, and then they made this fucking Master Cheeks piece of shit that fucking honestly, if I could round up every single copy digitally and video, I would pay every single Halo fan. Actually, no, they'll do it for free. Every single Halo fan in the world would just come on, will just stand on this pile and just fucking turn it into a piss mountain because that's what it deserves. It deserves all us to shit and piss on it. Because even if you ignore the Halo storyline, it's in its own universe, yeah, I get that. But if you just ignored the Halo storyline as a show on its own, it was just shit. It was shit written, shit storyline, made no fucking sense. The actors were terrible. It is a shit covered piss pile, and that's it. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, the other thing about that too is that how would you even what perspective would you take of Halo? Would you make an episodic series where you talk about the Marines and the insurgency, an episode about the flood, or would you make it a movie, or would you make it a series? Because you could have an episode about the flood or an entire series about the flood from the flood's perspective.
I honestly think in in my opinion, if you were to make it animated, you could get away with a series, but you could make a movie on some of it. And you could pick whatever fucking storyline you want. There's so much lore in Halo, it's ridiculous, and there's books written about it. So, like, even if, say, for example, you wanted to go in and you're like, well, I don't know how to write an original story in this universe when I don't really know what to do. Like, there's plenty of books that have been written that you can turn into films or series that would get really good. Like, it would be supported really well and received really well because they're actually really good books. Even if you're not a Halo fan, the story on its own supports itself and makes sense. Like, for example, I really like Ghost of Onyx. I thought that was pretty good. Fall of Reach was really good. There was what was the fucking name of it?
Contact Harvest.
Yeah, Contact Harvest was good. There's so many good books. The Diadact, if you want to go down to like the Forerunner side of things, the whole Diadact storyline, the 3 books of them, that was great. Learning about how the Forerunners work and the intricate politics in their society and how technologically advanced they were. Like, I found it really fascinating that their buildings are made out of hard light, so they could literally change their solid state by just a button press. So, like, for example, like a bedroom, right? Because Forerunners advanced to a stage where, like, they don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't drink, because they wear an exosuit that basically keeps them immortal. It gives them all the sustenance that they need for their body. They don't need to sleep because the suit basically gives them all the drugs and chemicals to recharge their brains, so they don't need to do any of that. And so it's like really, really interesting in how they work and operate, and their hard light technology is really fascinating. So, like, there's a bit where he's in his room and it describes how his mother walks in and the room like opens up to form a door for her, and then as she walks in it closes and it becomes a wall again. That's cool. And like how a gigantic ship can be made just instantly with this device. That was cool too. So like, yeah, I found that really fascinating. You could do lots of different things. It's just like Star Wars, you could do lots of different things, and they fucked that up because they decided to throw all this material that was built for them out the window and create their own, and then therefore their stories, when you compare them to the originals, it's like, well, 4 is flat because you got a person coming in that doesn't understand the lore and doesn't understand how the universe works, even though they're trying to create it anew, but it doesn't make sense even as a story on its own. Where if they just used the reference material, it would have made sense, because a reference material spells it all out and explains how everything works, and there's a reason for everything that they do. And so the viewer, like myself, can follow along the story of what's going on. Where the current Star Wars movies, you're watching it and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. So it's where I come from anyway in that regards. But I don't think they should touch a Halo thing, because at the moment Halo's cursed, and the fact that 343 is pretty much dying. And even Bungie. Did you hear about what happened with Bungie? They fired everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
The last OG guy that worked there, the person that worked with me, what's his name? The guy that did the music? Donald.
Oh, Marty O'Donnell.
Marty O'Donnell. So there were 2 of them. There's Marty O'Donnell and I forget his name.
I don't know. It's not the musician's name.
They fired him as well. So now there's no original staff members of 343, and no original Bungie staff either.
That's rough.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I think Destiny's gonna fall into the pits and die.
Well, Destiny's probably been that way for a while. I think Destiny's been kind of like that way.
Yeah.
From the first day, because like from day one, I mean, people were super hyped for it because it's all Bungie and all that sort of stuff, and then people were thoroughly disappointed with the story because like, well, it's not there. And then it's just been up and down with all the raids and how they've treated it as a live service video game, which that's never gonna work. I don't understand why a lot of these game studios think that that's going to work.
Yeah.
Because it's a you need to this is probably this is one of the reasons. I mean, I'm gonna make mention to Fortnite. Being that one of the reasons why Fortnite is so successful is because it has pretty much no friction with its initial sale because it's free. You can just pick it up. What that allows Fortnite to do is get a huge scoop of the market, and then they sell cosmetic items to the what shall we say? They sell cosmetic items to the players, and what happens after that is that you can sell the cosmetic items for cheap, but because there's a million people playing your video game because you release it for free, let's just say, for example, you sell it for, I don't know, $5, and there's every single one of them buys. That's a $5 million, just like that. And they just kept on doing that. That is probably the only way that a live service video game works. But the problem with Destiny is that it had an upfront cost to begin with, and then you got sold stuff, and it's like that just doesn't work, man.
Yeah,
you can't make money. You can't make money off of people who don't have money, and if
exactly.
people don't have money to give you, then you're not going to make any money.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I when I got on Destiny, because I played Destiny the first one, and I obviously played the second one, but I just found fucking Destiny to be such a money pit. It just got ridiculous. Like, because what annoyed me with the first Destiny is I paid for the expansion pass, and it only gave me 2 fucking DLCs. 2.
How many DLCs do they make in the end?
Oh, they made fucking heaps.
Right.
I think it was like, it was a lot. They made a lot in the end, and it just annoyed me and irritated me. And then I tried to, because it's free on Game Pass, and it just lost me. I won't play it again. And if you don't have friends as well, the game sucks. I don't have friends that played it anymore. So that's just how it is, I guess. But yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22 for video game studios when they sell something for a high price. Because I mean, for example, like, I don't know about you, for me, I don't really enjoy. I usually feel pretty awful if I buy an expensive video game, because it's like, unless it's going to take up. Unless it's going to essentially, teach me something really important philosophically or otherwise. I've got no reason to spend $120 on a video game. It's just not going to happen.
Nah, I mean, we've spent a lot of money on like, I spent a lot of money on like armor and stuff. But the thing is, like, when you get a DLC of armor, you get full handcrafted 3D modeled stuff and like entire new storylines and new weapons and stuff. It like makes it more worth it. But
you actually get value for money.
Yeah, and you can still use the old stuff and it still works. Where Destiny, you pay for fucking DLC, and all this stuff that you've just worked hard for, like any MMO, is redundant. And that's also why I never played World of Warcraft much, because I found World of Warcraft the same thing. I'm spending money on something that is going to become redundant, and like, what's the fucking point? It's just, it's just how it is, I guess.
What sort of got me with Destiny is how people were having to, I think the people were uninstalling elements of the video game so they could install other elements of the video game because the game became that fucking big.
Yeah.
Which is that's just fucking ridiculous to me. It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
People were making entire machines just for Destiny. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on, guys?
The thing is, the game ran perfectly well. Like, the mechanics of the game was flawless. I never had any issues with that. It was just empty. That's the thing. They spent all the time making the game work well, but they didn't spend any time at all in the story, which doesn't make sense to me because usually when you develop a game like this, you have teams for everything. So you got a story team, you have a game development team, and then they all work together and combine it together to make the game, right? That's how game development works. So what the fuck was the story team doing the entire time while the fucking actual coders and stuff like that were working their asses off? Like,
you're under the assumption that they had a story team and an effective one at that.
Yeah, they mustn't have. They must have argued right to the end with, like, they didn't even... Because I heard in Destiny 1, they actually had a fully fleshed out story and it was created. And then they just scrapped it and then they just produced this piece of shit. And it's like, what happened?
Well, I would blame either producers or the directors for that.
Yeah, someone stuffed up, eh?
Yeah, I think a good story is how you create. What happens is that you create a good story and people talk about it, and when people talk about it, that's how you create a community.
Yeah.
And then when you create a community, you create diehard fans who come back and say when you create diehard fans, you create repeat customers.
Yeah.
And it's this positive feedback loop, and that's how you actually make a successful video game like Halo, for example, because that had a lot of story in it, and people were talking about how things worked philosophically in the video game, and then that's how the community was made.
Yeah, it's true. But I want to change the subject. Did you hear that Toyota has basically turned around and said that the world leaders are idiots?
I think you told me about that the other day. Yeah.
So Toyota's late CEO, who was the grandson of the founder of Toyota, hates EV cars. He doesn't. Obviously, they produce the hybrids. It's not that he doesn't like electronic technology. He doesn't like dedicated EV cars because he believed that they are unreliable and not practical. He obviously still produced them, but he also limited their production because he felt that EV cars on their own weren't what our customers needed. That's what he said, basically. Paraphrase, it's not exactly what he said, but along those lines. So in the end, shareholders and stuff like that, because the world government is stupid and so are companies. They are all fucking idiots. And the reason why I say this is because they're all pushing for dedicated EVs only in production. And they're doing this by tax break incentives, and shareholders are putting a lot of pressure on automotive companies to do this as well. But what he was trying to get at was you can't have all cars be one type because it will only work for one scenario. For example, city driving. EVs are great for city driving. And he even said that. But EVs are not good for country. They're not good for people that have to travel long distances, have to carry heavy loads, etc., etc., etc. And so by putting all your eggs in one basket, you're limiting of how much profits you're going to make in the long run. And so you guys are going to lose out money by doing this. And they just ignored him. And he was right. They just ignored him. And so they actually voted him off as CEO of Toyota.
Oh, wow.
And then they put this newer guy on, and they thought, well, he's young, he's going to be all for the EV thing. And he's like, no, I agreed with him. We're going to make EVs. We are going to still make EVs, but we're also going to put more money into hybrids, which I agree. Hybrids are far more efficient than any dedicated electronic vehicle. So they're still going to push their hybrids, your Yaris's and your RAV4s and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the Corolla is hybrid as well.
Yep, they're manufacturing hydrogen as well. Like they're putting a lot of money even here in Australia. They're building a hydrogen processing plant in Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
So they're developing that technology, and then they developed a new 3-liter 4-cylinder motor. No, was it 3-liter? I think 2.
The 3-liter seems like a pretty big engine for 4 cylinders.
Yeah, it was. Might be 2-liter. 2-liter.
I would say that's 2 liters for 4 cylinders.
There are 3-liter 4-cylinder motors. Like for example, my parents' old Prado's 3.5 liters.
Right.
Because you got to remember, the larger cars, the bigger the motor. But basically, they're working on developing a brand new fuel that makes this engine incredibly reliable, economical, and etc. etc. And they're going to release it in a few years' time. So they're developing a new alternative fuel to petroleum.
Right.
And it will apparently produce hardly any emissions. And they're like, this would be much better and more beneficial to produce than petroleum. So I kind of like that Toyota's doing that. Toyota's going against the grain, and they're getting support from like BMW, AMD, and a few other manufacturers that are like, no, we agree. We think EVs are stupid.
Yeah.
There's only one person in the world that really loves EVs, and that's Elon Musk.
Yeah, well,
and we've already proven many times how much of his stuff is a load of shit. So, so I'm really, really interested to see Toyota really push the forefront of automotive industry, and I'm excited for it because I want variety. Okay, I agree. Petroleum, and there is a time and place for diesels. You'll never get rid of diesels because you can make biofuel. With diesels, you don't have to use petroleum-based stuff with diesels. They were designed originally to be a workhorse. And people go, oh, but the emissions... A diesel engine still, and I'm going to fucking beat this dead horse, still produces less emissions than any petroleum petroleum car. So gas, unleaded fuel car. So saying that, it's really bad for the environment, it's like, well... In an ideal world, it's still like, not as clean as, say, an EV car that doesn't produce emissions while it's driving. You are correct in that regards. But in terms of lifespan, it's still less emissions than a petrol car in its whole life. So
they'll always find some greenhouse effect. You'll find that, I reckon, in like 10 years' time, the government will give what shall we say? They'll try to minimize the amount of times that people fart in 10 years' time to lower greenhouse gas emissions.
I can't see the engine that they made. It's to run on this new fucking... It's to run on this new fuel system. I can't seem to find it.
That's alright. They'll probably have more.
Yeah, it will come out a little bit more as it comes into fruition. But
no, absolutely.
They've made a new V8 as well.
Oh yeah,
it's on hydrogen. But anyway, they're pushing it, and I'm excited for it. That's the main thing. But you are correct in the regards of they're always going to find emissions. I mean, like, we have cows, and they carry on about cows, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give those dumbasses a little bit of a fucking reality check. I'm an environmentalist, yes, but I'm also a realistic person. So how many wildebeest are in the world?
The other thing too is that I was reading in a book entitled Encyclopedia's Guide to Climate Change, and it states that methane takes 4 days to break down.
Yeah, which is really quick.
Yeah, it's the carbon dioxide that takes a long time to break down.
Carbon dioxide takes years. Carbon monoxide takes a few days as well. because that forms with. Fuck, I've got the chemical.
Well, it forms with the ozone layer, and then that's how the carbon monoxide
carbon
forms.
Monoxide, it
makes carbon dioxide in the ozone layer.
Yeah, it does something and splits down, and then it does that, and then water actually is the main contributor to greenhouse effect. Water's like 70%. Yeah, water is the highest greenhouse.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I know, right? So if there's a higher water content in the atmosphere, the warmer it gets.
I had a bit of a conspiracy theory moment the other day.
Yeah.
So the government's all telling us that humans are the main contributors to the greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
I had a bit of like a scary moment. What if they're lying? What if humans aren't contributing to the greenhouse effect?
Yeah.
What that would essentially mean is that there's nothing that we can do to change it. So if we change a behavior, if we're affecting it, then if we change our behavior, then we'll have a different outcome. But if we're not the ones changing it, and we make a change in our behavior, nothing's going to change as a result.
Yeah.
So what are the chances that the government's lying to cover up something else that's going on and to keep public general peace of the public, which is I've found to be a bit of like a horrifying thought in terms of like, what now?
Yeah. So that methane argument, right?
Yeah.
So there's roughly about 16.5 billion ruminant animals in the world, right?
Yeah.
So that's every single organism with multi-stomachs. So these are the main contributors to methane gas production.
Right.
So that's horse, sheep, and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Only 996 million are cows. All right, so that's a lot. So that's almost a billion of that is cows, which is a lot. And then the others is like made up of sheep and stuff like that. So cows contribute a fair amount to methane production. But then if you wiped out 996 million cows,
you just find the next thing that's producing the most amount of methane.
Yeah. And then you've also got wetlands, which produce more methane than any of them.
Which is so funny to me. Because, like, wetlands, contrary to popular belief, methane is odorless.
Yeah, it is. Methane is odorless.
It's so funny.
It's usually methane added with other particles that makes it smell. But, like, if you remove all farm animals, you still got every other organism, including humans, that produce methane. So, saying that we need to bag the asses of cows is a bit redundant.
I know, it's so dumb.
Hell, you know what? If you want to bag cows' asses and then turn that gas into fuel for something like power production,
because methane
go for it. There's nothing wrong with utilizing that shit.
Formula CH4. There's 4 hydrogen atoms in methane. You could literally turn it into if you build up enough, you could turn it into a hydrogen bomb.
Well, that's what Toyota's factory does.
That is fucking hilarious.
So Toyota's
I am so glad that I'm alive to witness this.
So Toyota's hydrogen factory that produces hydrogen for their new hydrogen line cars uses cow manure and cow gases.
Oh, that is incredible.
To extract the hydrogen from the methane.
That is I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Born too late to explore the world, born too early to explore the universe, but born just in the right time to witness others explore cow shit.
You wait. They're going to do this. They're going to start putting fucking cow bags on cows' asses, and they're going to start collecting all the manure and all that sort of shit. Next minute, they're going to realize it's not efficient, so they're going to have cows in fucking indoor environments. and then it's gonna
just
be like
shitting.
just shitting and collecting all the shit.
Oh, that's
right?
fucking...
And then PETA and all the animal welfare people going like, this is cruel, and it's like, but you guys were just protesting, saying that we need to do something about the cows.
Yeah, so we did.
Yeah, so because they're environmentally damaging. Okay, so now they're not environmentally damaging because now not only are we feeding them and getting their food from them for slaughter, but now we're also gathering up all their pollutants that they produce and utilizing it for energy, right? Yeah, but now they're cruel and they're locked up and you're putting bags on their bums, which is uncomfortable. And it's like, okay. So then we just kill them all. No, you can't do that. That's murder. They have lives. They're sentient. Well, then what the fuck do you want us to do with them?
We can't set them free because they'll produce methane out in the wild. Just give them a fucking catch-22.
You're damned
yeah,
if you
I
do,
know.
you're damned if you
We
don't,
can't set them free anymore because they'll just be they'll just be greenhouse gas producers out in the wild. We'll have no way of monitoring it. Oh, this is the greatest timeline.
Humans are just so funny. Like,
I know, it's the greatest time to be alive, I swear.
Yeah, we're just living in an age where everything's a meme.
Yeah, it's fucking funny.
Like, the other day, like, I was driving home from work and I saw this fucking crackhead on an e-bike coming up, like doing wanking signals and all that sort of shit, like going off his nutter.
Great.
And I'm like, what's going on? And then next minute, this fucking Hyundai XL comes flogging up behind him, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And then next minute, the bike rider stops in front of him, fucking going off his nutter, and the car's like beeping at him, going off his nutter, and I'm just like, this is not my problem. I just kept driving.
This is not my problem, but something for me to observe.
Yeah, and just watching them fucking go at it, like, oh, it was so funny. I was just like, just another day in paradise. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
You know, this is what I don't understand. Is like people think that humanity is just worth saving sometimes.
That's an approach to it, I guess.
Like, every human is sacred, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Where do you live?
I think so.
I don't. It's like there was a shark attack here. Not saying that anyone deserves any bad treatment in this regard. This is just an actually complete change of subject. But so there was a shark attack here, right? And it just aggravates me to no end. Because as soon as a shark attack happens, guess what the first thing the media were carrying on about?
Like, was the shark killed?
No, they didn't find it. And they wouldn't find it.
Right.
It was like, it must have been a reef shark. So, cut it short, there was a shark attack. The person was free diving on the opposite end of this barrier reef. It's not the Great Barrier Reef. It's the Barrier Reef. It's one of my local beaches, right? And this person got bitten in the face.
Right.
So sharks generally don't bite people in the face. When a shark bites you, it's usually from behind or from underneath. Because that's just naturally how sharks sort of go prey.
Yeah.
Because they don't like to be hurt, so they generally don't go for the head of whatever they're going for. They usually go like side. They try and get in the blind spots, even if it's a fish. So that alone makes me think that the person got in the shark's space. Now I can rule out that it was a great riot because it attacked her face and she lived. If a great right went your face,
probably wouldn't survive.
You probably wouldn't have a head left.
It
would take your whole head. And some people go, oh, it could be a small one. Well, no, because where we live, great whites don't breed. So you don't get small great whites that are like the size of like a reef shark or something like that. You just don't. You only get full growns, and they can range from like 1.5 meters long to like 2 meters long to like up from there, essentially. Adult sharks. Not massive sharks, but adult sharks. A shark that can still have your head fit in its mouth. So that rules that shark out, and we don't get tigers here, and we don't get bull sharks here. So the only other shark alternatives it would be is like either a bronze railer, which they're fairly large. But again, if a full-grown bronze railer was to bite your face, I don't think you would live.
Is that because of the size of them or the ferocity of them?
Size of them, yeah. Bronze railers are still a large shark.
Right.
They're not small by any means. And they don't breed there either, so it wouldn't be an adolescent either. It's a good shark picture. So I'll get it up what a bronzy looks like.
Right. Okay.
So that's what a bronze railer looks like. So they kind of look like a giant reef shark, really. But yeah, like in comparison, look at the size of it to that dude. Like, if that mouth latched onto your face, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think you would survive because you lose a lot of blood in your face, so you'd bleed out pretty. I mean, yeah, you can get like a little one, but like I said, they don't breed in this particular area, so it's very rare that you get a bronze railer at that size. Usually they're that size or that size. They're usually not that little. So that rules that out for me. Which means it could be a grey nurse, but unlikely because grey nurses generally don't bite people. You would have to shove your face in its mouth for it to probably do that. Which a grey nurse looks like this. They look really menacing, but they are fish eaters only. They're pretty friendly and docile, so like you can get right up to them. They generally leave you alone. It's like they look gnarly, but they're actually pretty placid creatures.
You just swim close to them.
Yeah, same thing with these guys. Like if you were to shove your face into it to bite you, I don't think you'd survive either.
Yeah.
See, that grey nurse has been attacked by another shark.
Yep, definitely. Holy crap.
So, you've got them. But I think it could have been a wobbegong.
Right.
It could be a wobbegong.
They just small shark.
They're a smaller shark. They're a smaller shark. They give a pretty gnarly bite if they latch onto you, and they will bite you if, that's the sort of damage this guy got bitten on the leg. If you were to shove, your face in one of their mouths, they would totally latch onto your face. And then we also get these fellas.
I've never heard of those sharks before.
We get these ones as well. They are around. They do like tropical waters, but we do get them down here. I've seen them down here every now and then.
Right.
So these guys would go your face if you get in its personal space. If you were to like corner or whatnot. So I honestly think that, she was diving down, she approached the shark and it felt threatened and bit her.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, or she went in one of the caves that are in the reefs to have a look in there and startled one and it bit her. And the reason why they can't find the shark, obviously, is because...
it's probably a small shark.
It's a small shark hiding in the reef, yeah. I very much don't think it was like an adult-sized shark. And if it was, I'd be really surprised. Because apparently her partner pushed the shark off her. Which is
what the hell does that mean?
Which is weird to me because, like, if it was like a bronzy, or hell, even a great white, there is no physical way you can push that shark off someone. They are big sharks. So I think it was just like a small reef shark or like one of those bottom-dwelling sharks or something like that. I don't think it was a man-eating shark. But when this happened, she's going to recover, but she's going to be like all scarred up and stuff because it did go to face. When the news did this, they started going on about shark attacks. We've had so many in the last year, and it's like,
how many have we had in the last year?
Like 33 in like 10 years or something like that.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, well, I mean, media and sensationalism go together really fucking well. That's why I don't fucking pay attention to the news anymore.
Okay. Worldwide, there are 70 incidents.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Worldwide, 70.
Worldwide, that's... Yeah, honestly, it's not that big of a deal.
From 21 to 22, there were 14 cases within each state.
So, like, what, 14 times 6?
Yeah, but you also got to remember as well that you got to add the amount of people in the water as well. So, like,
yeah, a lot more than 14 per state.
It is very, very rare. Versus how many horses killed people in a year?
Oh, I mean, that's got to be a lot higher.
There were 77 deaths in 10 years by horses. 33 deaths by cows.
In what time span?
In 10 years. Which is significantly more than so from 2000 to 2013 there were 74 deaths from horses. So, yeah, you're more likely to get killed by a horse than you will a fucking...
That's no fucking surprise. Yeah, but you're more likely to sell more clicks by telling people about sharks.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, people are afraid of them too much. The same with snakes. Like, less people in Australia die a year from snakes and sharks. And
that...
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, like, because snakes very rarely... I mean, how many times have you seen a snake in your life? In your country,
I think.
In your country, too.
I very rarely see... I don't know, I think I've only... I mean, I didn't even see it, but I'm sure it was a copperhead just because of the area that I was in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just heard it moving through the bush, and I didn't even see it. So, technically, I don't think I've actually even seen a snake.
I've seen heaps, but that's because I go looking for them.
Yeah, I don't go looking for them. I'm not interested.
So I try and find them and then catch them and observe them and all that sort of stuff. So, but that's me. I love snakes. I think they're cool. But yeah, it's crazy to me that that people go on about sharks all the time. It's like the chance of you getting bitten is like really, really fucking low.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that person, and she's apparently a conservationist as well, so I'm hoping that when she comes out, she won't come out with like I'm terrified of them or never go back in the water. I hope she gets straight back in the horse and realizes, like it could have been worse.
I think she will because I mean, if you're gonna become a conservationist, she's probably already mentally signed herself up to these sorts of situations and just been okay with it.
I hope so. Because I knew someone that I went to uni with, and she would free dive with sharks all the time. Like, she's free swam with great rights. And she used to say to me, a lot of people and conservationists think they get arrogant, and they'll like think that that they can just jump in the water with a shark and be fine. She's like, no, you need to. She's like, there's certain mindset and understanding about the animals that you have to have if you're going to do that. And she's
absolutely.
Like, what I do is I want the shark to get out of the mindset of potential food and potential threat. She's like, if you do get rid of those two things out of the shark's mind by your behaviors and the way you interact with them, the chances of being bitten are very reduced. And then she's like, the only thing you have to worry about is curious biting, because sharks will bite if they're curious about something, want to know about it. And she's like, and so you got to react in a certain way that makes the shark know that you're not willing to be bitten. And she explained to me how she does it. I personally wouldn't do it, but I'm glad that there are people out there that try and educate others in these animals and how they work and interact and whatnot. I just personally don't see the need for me being out there and getting it from their face.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to call it an early one today because me and Spoofy have got some shit to do. Yeah, a bit of a late one today because I slept in. It's my fault, but it is what it is. This is a good thing about these podcasts. They're just a relaxing sort of podcast, aren't they, Spoofy? Not supposed to be dramatic.
Yeah, just to come in here and talk crap.
Basically, yeah. So I hope you all have a good day and night depending around the world, and we will catch you next time. We just got to find someone to raid into quickly. Who can we raid into?
Raid into Iron Mouse.
If we raid into Iron Mouse, wouldn't even get noticed.
I didn't even realize you could raid into Iron Mouse.
I should probably go turn it off. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, true.
So we can raid into Nymphonet.
Let's do it.
She's an Australian. Spoke to her a lot. She's pretty cool. All right. See you all later.
Stay up.